While I wouldn't normally make a second video on Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, I kinda had to make this video as no one else has made a video on this ending, and it seems like no one will. So anyway, this video will probably be short, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So when I first saw Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, something stood out to me. You may have already seen or played the game, and you may think, oh, there's no horror. I mean, while there is scary scenes, there's nothing that's like, actually like scary. If you get what I'm saying. But there's one thing no one ever mentioned about the ending. In the ending, it shows the prototype shish kebab you and you fall to the floor. Then it grabs you and places you in some poppy gel, which has been mentioned to be self-healing in Chapter 2. Then you get woken up by a shot from Giblet, making it presumable that he reached you while the prototype wasn't looking. However, he told Chum Chopkins earlier in the chapter that he wanted the security system back on to find Poppy. While Chum most likely didn't do this due to being a double agent, it's most likely that he did it himself or had another toy goon to guard the gel tube. You may ask, why did the prototype do this? Well, that's kind of simple, although a bit debatable still. A, the prototype wanted you to suffer for your crimes like Miss Gracie did. Or B, the prototype saw/heard your kills from the past, which can be shown by the body parts of other toys on his body. While the doing one is debatable, in Chapter 4, where Ollie, aka the prototype, actually starts talking, and even if the phone wasn't on or something, there's still a big resume for your help at his side, like the doctor before you. It also fits the prototype MO of being the king of the toys, so he kinda needs a second in line. So the prototype definitely needed you alive, so he would keep the tube guarded, or at least under watch. And Giblet didn't fight the prototype away, because number one, he was no hero, and number two, the prototype destroyed Poppy's head when he didn't want to, and she was the same size. So why do you think Giblet would survive that? Also, while the prototype is probably boastful as he sees himself as a god, he's smart, so he wouldn't just drop you off alive as a way to show he's too strong to be beaten, or just let Giblet pass him to rescue you. So that only leaves one option, which no one has ever mentioned or said anything about. Most likely because it's a bit of a stretch, but for a horror game, it kind of makes perfect sense. So in the ending, you get killed and dragged through a hallway by the prototype before he drops you in a tank. Afterward, you see a massive gel with lights and bubbles, as the line from Chapter 3 is said. In case you don't remember, you get gassed by Poppy gas to have the Nightmare Huggy sequence and a second sequence later. Chapter 4 completely ignores hallucinations from Poppy gas. Then Chapter 5 seems to only have in the dollhouse scene. But after falling into the gel, you wake up like nothing happened. But maybe you should remember Chapter 3, where the same line was said, by what sounds like Poppy. And where was it? A hallucination. I think that you experience a hallucination at the end of Chapter 5 of Giblet saving you and meeting the doctor, teasing that all of Chapter 6 isn't real, and is just an hallucination in your head. So here's how I think the Chapter 6 ending will go. There's a kind of simple prototype boss fight with the building going up in flames, because not only would that look cool for a final boss of a horror game, but that was Poppy's plan. At the end, you jump at the prototype with the Omni hand and falls to the floor. Then the doctor, maybe Huggy, hard maybe Doughy, since maybe he's like the T-1000 or something, where he only really dies by fire, attacking him and work together to snap his neck and finally kill him. Then after he falls to the floor, maybe he has one final line, like, he's a betrayed god or something. Then after that, the ending happens where the place falls apart and you barely escape. Then the game finally cuts to white as you escape, and it cuts to 6 months later. We were actually in a house at daytime and not a dark, gritty factory. Kind of like the bendy ending, but coherent, and there's like windows and stuff. You walk through the house and you find a note on the table. A greeting card from like Iowa or something. Anyway, you open it to see the card. You flip through to see an empty page before crimson text appears, in the same writing as the Chapter 1 letter. You read, "Should you come back, years later, your consciousness finally getting the better of you, may you descend into the dark, into the dust, finding all that awaits you are incomprehensible horrors, each hungry for your return, each eager that they might find you." Perhaps they'd smile at you from a shadow, their smiling mouths full of teeth that meet in plastic, watching and waiting patiently for their turn at a warm welcome. Or perhaps they won't allow you such time to figure your place in the world you left, a world that's theirs now. Welcome home. As you read, the screen turns darker until it completely turns black, and you wake up. You arise from the poppy gel and look around you. You're still in the factory. Then you fall to see your hands. They're blue with yellow mittens. Basically Huggy's hands. Poppy runs through the hallway ahead of you, and she'd probably say something like, "What? I saw you die. The prototype, he's..." The screen turns redder, and you fall to the ground. "Kill the heretic" appears on screen, and you start crawling like you can't control yourself. She screams and run away, then you chase her, and the game ends right as you attack her. This ending would make Chapter 5 more warranted in existence than just Chapter 6 Part 1. It would make sense to do this ending, and if they don't, then that doesn't entirely make sense why this ending was a little confusing as it is. The prototype would need to lose as it's a story, but it's also a horror game and he's a smart character who can't really die. So it would make sense to have a bad ending. This would also leave the door open for Chapter 7 or just plain old sequels. Anyway, see ya. And if you're wondering, my next video will probably be, I don't know, ranking of the Friday the 13th. I want to do a double video with the Nightmare on Elm Street because I don't have too much thoughts on each of those movies, but I've only seen the first one, so that takes some time. So, but see ya. Hey, what are you doing here? This video's off limits. It's done. Fine. You found the secret code. 4872. Alright, remember that? It's gonna become important later on the test. Okay, you're getting on my nerves. You gotta stop this. You got other stuff to do, okay? You could, I don't know, anything. Just please, get out of here. Go! Go!